Welcome to another episode of Today in the Fort. Today's project is sponsored by Me Love Trains and Chris Dixon. Inspiration comes in many forms, as we all know. And this picture that I'm about to show you, that picture has inspired today's project. Now, I've got the Dancing Queen over here. We're going to light up all the steps. Should be a fun project. This particular setup, the ABBA, hence the Dancing Queen, has a Rail Pro board in the number 1 engine and the number 4 engine. There's a giant battery in the first B unit, and that B unit is a slave of that A unit. And that B unit is a slave of that A unit back there. So when I go to run all 4, I'm essentially just adding 2 engines in the consist. So we're going to move some engines around. We're going to pull this guy out, bring him around to where it's convenient, and we're going to do 1 engine at a time. We've got a little straightening up to do first, though, as usual. All this just to get to the switch. I can't remember where the damn switch is. I want to set you down. Maybe. Come on now. There we go. Unplugging the Deutsch. Okay, it's on. Now we put everything back. All right. All right, listen, folks. Here's the thing. If you can't take your time screwing around, moving engines without using your hands and running stuff just to work on it, if you're in a rush to work on your equipment and your engines and your cars and so on and so forth, then you're doing it wrong. This is supposed to be fun. So I'm going to make it fun. We're adding lights under that ladder, that ladder, that ladder, that ladder, that ladder, that ladder, that one, 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 and that one, and all on the other side. So I'm gonna get this bridge in so I can bring the engines closer to where I need to work on them. And I'm gonna start drilling holes and putting lights in. First things first, we got to figure out where we're going to drill these holes. And you can see where the ladders go in. And it's kind of obvious where they go in. It's just pull that thing out. Now I wonder if I can squeak the light in the middle of that thing. There's one way to find out. Let's start taking it apart. One thing to note, there are 4 chassis screws underneath the fuel tank. Now, when I did this engine, I didn't put those 4 screws back in. I just reminded myself of that by taking the fuel tank off, and there were no screws in there. All right, so got it apart. And don't be surprised if you can't get the screws out all the way. Mine never come out all the way. There's a handful of them here still stuck in. Yeah, this one, this one, this one. These 4 are the ones under the fuel tank, and these 2, I only got 1 screw out. So if you want to, you could take the tip of your screwdriver and push those screws out, but if they're there, leave them. I also discovered that my hot glue epically failed to hold the RailPro board down, so we're gonna have to address that. The other thing is, this is literally the first engine I ever RailPro'd. And you can see here that I've still got a couple of functions. Actually, I think just 1 function left, which is perfect. So now I'm gonna call it chassis lights. I just gotta get a wire back in there. Alrighty. So I did a little test with a bulb and a 9-volt battery to see how it looked, and all I did was drill an 1/8" hole for a 3mm bulb. Let's get this to focus here, where all the ladders go. And since I don't want them super bright, I'm going to experiment with running them in series and see what happens. I don't know why we're not focusing. There we go. All right, I got this side done, wired at least. I need to wrangle the wires a little bit. Keep in mind, if you're going to do this, that you've got this spot here on the back wall of the cab that comes all the way down to the chassis. So you can't run the wires flat through here. You got to run them through the middle, like where those wires are run. And don't look at my solder joints. Oof, maybe I should leave them out of focus. Yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, that's better. Look at the solder joints now. All right, this should make for an interesting video. Normally I pre-wire these things. But all I'm doing is I'm twisting the wire around each leg, and I'm holding it. Hopefully it stays in focus. I'm holding the wire with a pair of tweezers so I can twist the wire around like so. And then I can solder it. Let's see if I can embarrass myself soldering this here. Are we focused on the right thing now? Okay. Let's see if I can embarrass myself with a soldering joint. soldering iron is not very clean. Success. Not terrible. Not the best either. Got one more wire to loop from here to here, and then we can test this sucker out. All right, full disclosure, it doesn't work. I did something wrong somewhere along the way, so I'm just gonna wire it the way I know how to wire it. I don't know how to wire in series, apparently. I did something wrong. I know that the short side of the LED is the negative and the long side is the positive, but oh well. Yeah, so I went back to the tried and true, what I know is gonna work. The real question was I able to get something into that last function spot? And I did. So, step lights. They all come on, all 6 of them. So now it's just managing the rat's nest, getting the cover back on. I have to keep in mind again about that back panel for the cab. But I tested all the lights, everything still works, so monkeying with everything, everything's still good. But what a mess. All right, everything is passing the test. You can see where the lights are positioned. Hopefully this looks good on the rails.